Yo, what is going on, my YouTube people? 29 Ned back here with another video, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about why the Iranian national team failed at the 2022 FIFA World Cup. If you guys are into the channel, please make sure to smash that subscribe button. I'm very close to 3,000 subscribers. Like the video. I'll be putting all of my social links down in the description for you guys to follow. So my Twitter, Discord, TikTok, Instagram, all of that down below for you guys to check out. And I'm just gonna give you guys a warning. This video will be a little political because it's actually impossible to avoid this considering the circumstances. All right, so to start with, we have to go all the way back to 2019 after the AFC Asian Cup, where Iran lost 3-0 to Japan. Iran, which were the heavy favorites to win the whole thing. This was probably Iran's prime in terms of football. Every player we had, apart from a few, like Taremi, for example, they were all in their primes. And really, it is a shame that Iran could not have won that Asian Cup. That title then went to Qatar, who beat Japan in that final game and thus gave Qatar the title of the best team in Asia, quote unquote. But in FIFA rankings, Iran have always pretty much been the first country, followed by Japan, Korea, and I believe Australia. I could be wrong, and then Saudi Arabia as well. After that, the Iranian national team, well, they got rid of their manager, Carlos Queiroz. Who we got in instead? Mark Wilmots, a man that pretty much almost nearly ruined Iran's chances of even getting into the World Cup. We had to fight hard to get back to that position. We bounced back under Dragan Skocic, who made us qualify for the FIFA World Cup. And let's fast forward that all the way up to around June of 2022, so a few months ago, where Iran had a friendly planned versus Canada here in Canada, and well, the game was called off. Why? Due to political reasons. Now, I'm not going to get too political for that part, but if in short, you guys don't really know what's going on. A few years ago, a Ukrainian jet got shot down by Iran that had Canadians and Iranians in, and well, understandably, a lot of people were frustrated as to why Iran and Canada are having a friendly when such a tragic event has happened. Nevertheless, it never happened, and Iran's plans for the friendlies a few months before the World Cup is not something you want to see, right? It's all gone, no friendlies. We had one friendly in Qatar itself against Algeria where we actually lost that game. So if you fast forward again to a few months ago where Dragan Skocic lost the dressing room and, well, got out, we managed to get our current coach back, Carlos Queiroz. I think the majority of Iranians were very happy that Carlos Queiroz was back, pretty much because, well, we were not gonna do too well under Dragan Skocic. So that's the footballing aspect of it. There's another aspect that needs to be talked about, unfortunately, and that is the political aspect of Iran and the Iranian national team. So I'm gonna try my best to give you guys a brief timeline of everything that has happened. So I'm sure, as you're aware, few months ago, the morality police of Iran killed a young woman by the name of Mahsa Amini, and that has caused nationwide protests, rightfully so. I never thought that would actually affect the national team, to be completely honest, until a few weeks ago, just before the World Cup. In short, what happened is we had a friendly with Nicaragua in which we won 1-0. Not all the players were there, it was the domestic players. What they did was they had a meeting with the current Iranian president and officials. Obviously, that is something that everybody was very disappointed to see at, because the Iranian national team is known as the team of the people. And in that situation, meeting with the people who have caused all this trouble, no one really appreciated that, including me. This is where opinions will be made. Were they forced to do it? Were they threatened to do it? Why did they do it? Well, for some people, they were threatened. For some people, they were forced. And for some people, maybe they are completely for the Iranian government. No matter what your opinion may be, we can all agree that it was not a wise move for the Iranian national team to do that, especially in a time where it was very unnecessary. And from that point on, the Iranian national team lost a lot of its support, quite understandably. Fast forward to a few days later, where the World Cup started. We were in Group B alongside England, the US, and Wales in our first match day where we played against England. It seemed that when national anthems were being played, Iran did not sing that national anthem. If you guys have been living under a rock, you may have noticed that none of the Iranian players actually sang that national anthem. They were all silent, and that actually caused a lot of things on social media. It was tweeted out by a lot of news outlets, a lot of sports outlets. A lot of people did see that live, including myself. And to be honest, it gave me a sense of relief because it did in some way show that they were for the people. But for some other people, that wasn't necessarily enough. Now, I'm not going to get into the exact details of what people are saying and not saying. I'm going to talk about the more general view. The damage had already been done. Team Milli, the Iranian national team, lost a lot of its supporters. Iranian players knew it. The pressure that these players had to go through is never easy. Going into a World Cup where you're supposed to have the whole nation behind you, as a player, you know that a lot of them are not with you anymore. It really will demoralize you. And I think it was pretty obvious in that England game where we got smashed 6-2. And I'm not going to take anything away from the English. I think they were terrific. But in other words, the Iranian national team did not look like the Iranian national team. We played like players who had never touched a ball ever. We couldn't even string 5 passes together. We had that good moment, that 30 seconds where people were calling us prime Barcelona, where Taremi scored that first goal. Other than that, in that game, we were terrible. We were playing like a top 100 nation. We were definitely not representatives of the best Asian team at that time. So fast forward a few days right before Wales game, where I think a lot of people had now mixed opinions. In one way they met with the president, in another way there's a national anthem debacle. People are divided. They don't really know what to expect or what to think about. It's hard. It's very hard. If you're a Team Milli fan, these past few months have been very difficult because you're being pulled in a million different directions and you don't know which one's the right one. Carlos Queiroz did say in his press conference that England game wasn't really their best performance and that the real World Cup for Iran starts against Wales. In the Wales game, the Iranian national team players did sing the national anthem. So then it begs the question of, well, hold on, what's going on? On one side in the England game, they weren't singing it, but then in the Wales game, they are. So it begs the question, what is going on? The answer is, there's definitely something going on behind the scenes. We don't know what it is. I don't think anyone but the players themselves know what it is. We're now at a point where the Iranian national team entered the World Cup with a disadvantage by not having the full support of the people. And in that England game, I don't want to necessarily blame everything on the support because, let's be honest with ourselves, Iran were atrocious. The lineups weren't good. Carlos Queiroz had it completely wrong. The players and the lineup was not up to standard to play a team like England. So even if, let's say, there was no political stuff going on, we would probably still get smashed 4-2 or something. Also, it didn't help that we had our first choice keeper, Alireza Beranvan, out in the first 10 minutes. It felt like everything was falling on us. It felt like everything was going wrong. It felt like we were extremely unlucky. So we went into that England game with a disadvantage. We weren't having the support of the people. Beranvan got injured, this and that. It's a terrible start for the Iranian national team. This is something that no other national team had to go through this World Cup. But in that Wales game, there was hope, I would say. We smashed it. We were amazing. We were terrific. We were attacking. We didn't rely on the defense that much. To be honest, we should have won that game by more than just 2 goals. But then in that Wales game, these players are now not only pressured by the fans, but they're now being pressured by the Iranian government. We're now not only going into the World Cup with one disadvantage, but another disadvantage, and that, well, the players are getting pressured by everything and anything. It's not easy. But nevertheless, we still pulled off that win versus Wales, which was a heroic performance by players like Ramin Rezayan, Uzbek Cheshmi, Mehdi Taremi. They were heroes of that game for sure. And there was a lot of uncertainty then leading up to the USA game, which was a win or tie game in order for us to finally make our first round of 16 appearance. Fast forward a few days, we lost against the US, 1-0. And again, we weren't necessarily the best, but the damage had already been done from the previous games. Pressure, the support, lineup tactics, all that mixed, not a good look. So we're now in a position where things are not going well at home. Things are not going well in a football pitch. What else can the Iranian national team do? Is just fight until the end, which is what they did with the US. It wasn't enough. They got the better of us and they went on the round of 16. In truth, the Iranian national team couldn't really do much more. With all the circumstances that the national team has been through, it's very hard for them to even be at this World Cup. We were fantastic up until a few months ago, and it seems like everything just crashed into us. It's sad. It's really sad. I'm very upset saying this, to be honest. Maybe it doesn't look like it. I expected so much more from this Iranian national team. This was our year to get through the round of 16 in what may have been our easiest group of all time, and we still couldn't hack it. The conclusion of this video is, why did Iran struggle so much in the World Cup? Outside pressure, the government, political charge group, to be honest. Us being with England and the US is already something crazy. Maybe we were a little bit unprepared compared to the rest of the nations. Like I said, go all the way back to June where we had that Canada friendly cancelled. It just wasn't good for us. When you really look at it, to conclude this video, Iran were destined to fail. We really were destined to fail this World Cup. because with all the circumstances that we've been through, we would have never made it. I feel like we can still be proud of ourselves for getting a win against Wales. Our golden generation has kind of been wasted. It's sad to see because you won't see players like Taremi or Jahan Bash or Beran Van, these players, in the next World Cup. Now we're in a phase where Iran has to rebuild, not only for the national team, but for the whole country. So maybe in 4 years' time, we'll see change. I hope so, because we as football fans, as Team Milli fans, deserve more. In some way, I hope that people outside of Iran, non-Iranians, got to see whatever is going on in Iran. I hope that this is something that's never going to get replicated again, not just for Iran, but for any national team, because it was just a disaster. The truth is, this World Cup was at a complete wrong time for the Iranian people. That is pretty much the message I want to tell you guys. You guys that are watching this video, a lot of you are probably Iranians, very disappointed. My message to you guys is obviously to not give up. Don't give up hope. It's not over. And we will be back. We will be back, in my opinion. We just need to get rid of a lot of things. But believe, and see you guys in the next one.
Damn, I'm on red alert. Now she went up in the dirt.